Let's install some LifeProof brand luxury vinyl plank flooring that is sold at the Home Depot. This flooring is very durable. It holds up to kids, pets, and a pool. It's waterproof for up to 36 hours and resists mold and mildew. I installed 900 square feet of this flooring back in March of 2020, and as you can see here, I stopped at the kitchen tile. And now, 2.5 years later, we are remodeling the kitchen, so I busted up that tile and continued the flooring into the kitchen space. You cannot even tell where the old flooring ends and the new flooring begins. There was absolutely no wear on the old floor, and even buying the new materials over 2.5 years after the first, it matches up perfectly. Here is the new plank, and here's the old plank. And as you can see, you can't even tell a difference. This flooring is so easy to clean, it's so easy to install, so let's get into it. Now first you'll need to prep the surface. You can install this product over an existing floor like vinyl or tile, or right onto the wood subfloor or concrete. Just make sure the surface is level. If installing in a kitchen or bath, install the cabinets, islands, showers, built-in tubs, and vanities first, then install the LVP around those. Remove all baseboards and trim, and then vacuum all the dirt and debris from the surface. When removing the baseboards, take a utility knife and score across the top where the baseboard meets the wall. Then take a scrap piece of wood and put it behind the pry bar to avoid poking holes in the wall. If you're going to reuse the baseboards, put a number on the wall and on the board so that you can match them up easy later. Now you'll want to plan the installation. Measure the width of the room and divide that by the width of the plank. If that number is less than half the width of the plank, then you'll want to trim the first and last row to equal widths. This will give you a more balanced looking room like this, where the boards on each side of the room are equal in width, as opposed to this, where one side of the room is much wider than the other. Your flooring will have just a few different patterns that repeat themselves, so it's a good idea to open up several boxes and make piles of the same pattern. This way you can be sure to spread out the different boards throughout the install and not have a bunch of the same ones right next to each other. As you can see here, after just opening a few, I had a lot of one pattern and not much of another. So then I opened up more boxes so that I could have a more balanced amount of each pattern. The best part of installing this LifeProof brand of LVP is that you can cut it using only a utility knife if you want. Just use something to give you a straight edge, and then take the utility knife and score the top of the board. Then just flip it over and back cut the underlayment on the other side, and you're set. When laying the pieces together, lock in the long seams first. Then slide it down and lock in the shorter seams. You'll use a mallet and a tapping block to pop them into place. As you can see here, it has these grooves and they just slide and lock into place. Now here's a close-up of the seam. As you use the tapping block and the hammer to tighten that board, that seam will literally disappear. You'll know you have it locked in tight when you can no longer see or feel that seam. Continue laying your planks all the way down until the row is complete. When starting a new row, stagger the seams. I staggered mine 8 inches. So here's a tip for when you're laying flooring. You want to stagger your seams, and usually the seams will repeat itself like every 4th or 5th board. My seams repeat every 4. So like I have a seam here, I have a seam here, I have a seam here. So then the 4th board is going to come down a little bit, and then we're going to start back up and go back down. So an easy way to kind of figure where you need to place your next board instead of having to measure every time, just get another piece of flooring, and you're going to go 4 boards back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means this new row seam needs to line up with this one. So I'm just going to take my board that I'm not using right now, line it up, and then take my new piece and line it up right here. And then that way, this seam is in perfect alignment with this seam 3 boards back. Now this floor does need a bit of space, as there will be slight movement with expansion and contraction. Use 1/4 inch tile spacers between the wall and the edge of your rows on all sides of your room. Remove the tile spacers when you're done with the installation. Don't worry about that 1/4 inch gap between your planks and the wall. Your baseboards will cover that right up. When you get to the end of the row and you have a small piece like this, it's pretty hard to try to get that in by itself. So it's best to just go ahead and join these 2 pieces together and then put them both in as one. See here, I've got them locked in together, and then I can slide it in underneath the drywall and then take the mallet and put it into place. When you have places like this where your tapping block won't fit, you're going to use a pull bar. You just take the pull bar and the mallet, and you're going to tap on the end of the pull bar, and it's going to pull the flooring in nice and tight. For irregular cuts, you're going to need to make a template. Use the instruction sheets that come with the flooring as paper to make the templates. You just trace on the board after you've got your template, you make your cuts, and it's a perfect fit. As you can see, those paper templates definitely help out in places like this. When it comes to cutting around heating registers, just place the board on there, take a Sharpie to trace around the edges of the vent, and then you can make your cuts. I used a table saw to make these longer cuts just because it was easier. You can use the utility knife to cut all the way through on all 3 sides for a perfect fit. And of course, don't forget to put your baseboards back on when you're all finished. There you have it, your new luxury vinyl plank flooring installed by you. Be sure to subscribe for more DIY made easy and check us out at thedailydiy.net.